If you are watching this right now, you probably just relapsed, or maybe you're fighting urges. You're desperate for a way out. You've tried everything, but you're still stuck in this cycle, and you hate yourself for it. Nothing has worked for you because everyone is giving you the wrong advice. They're telling you to fight your urges, to use willpower, to just try harder. That's exactly why you keep failing. What I'm about to show you will completely change how you see this addiction. But first, you need to understand the harsh truth about why you're really stuck in this cycle. The real problem isn't what you're doing. It's how your own brain is deceiving you. You are failing because your brain has been hijacked. Every time you watch those videos, every time you give in to those urges, you are not just committing a sin. You are literally rewiring your brain's reward system. You see, Allah created your brain with an incredible reward system. When you accomplish something, your brain releases dopamine, but porn hijacks this system. It floods your brain with so much dopamine that normal activities stop feeling good. Prayer doesn't give you peace anymore. Working out doesn't feel rewarding. Your brain has become numb to everything except that artificial dopamine hit. And here's where it gets worse. Every time you try to quit using willpower, you are actually making your addiction stronger. Sure, you might hold it back for a day or two, but eventually it will overpower you. This is why cold showers don't work. This is why blocking websites doesn't work. You are treating the symptoms while the real problem keeps getting stronger. Your brain has created what scientists call a super stimulus. It's basically like taking normal food and concentrating it into pure sugar. Your brain wasn't designed to handle this kind of stimulation. That's why when an urge hits, it feels impossible to resist. Your primitive brain literally thinks this is something you need to survive. But here's what gives me hope for you. This same brain science that explains why you're stuck also reveals a way out, a method so powerful, yet so simple, that most people overlook it. Fighting your addiction is dangerous. It makes you think you're failing because you're not trying hard enough, because your iman is too weak, because you don't want it badly enough. And every time you fail, you feel even more worthless, even more hopeless, even further from Allah. But what if I told you these relapses aren't even your fault? What if these cycles of quitting and relapsing are actually part of your brain's defense mechanism? You see, your brain thinks it's protecting you. Every time you try to quit, it sees it as a threat to your survival. That's why the urges get stronger the longer you try to resist. How many times have you made a strong intention to quit? You felt so motivated, so certain that this time would be different. But then a few days pass, maybe a week, and suddenly the urges become unbearable. And when you finally relapse, you feel even worse than before. This is the deception cycle. The more you fight it head on, the stronger it fights back. The more you rely on motivation and willpower, the harder you fall. Each failure makes you trust yourself less and less until you stop believing that maybe this is just who you are. Here's what nobody tells you. These relapses aren't signs of failure. They are actually signs pointing to the real solution, a solution that works with your brain instead of against it. When an urge hits, don't fight it. Don't try to distract yourself. Just sit there and observe it. Watch it like you're watching a cloud pass in the sky. Don't feel guilty about it. Just observe it. Scientists call this urge surfing. Think of your urge like a wave. It builds up, reaches a peak, and then it always crashes down. Every single urge you've ever had has eventually passed. The only reason urges feel unbearable is because you panic and try to fight them. Modern science is only now discovering what our Deen taught us 1,400 years ago. Remember when Prophet Yusuf AS faced the ultimate urge? He didn't stand there and fight it. He didn't use willpower. The Quran says he ran. He didn't even engage with the urge. He acknowledged it was there and simply ran. This is why Allah says in the Quran that He is the most subtle. Sometimes the solution isn't in fighting harder, it's in understanding deeper. Each time you do this, each time you observe an urge until it passes, you are actually rewiring your brain. You are teaching your primitive brain that these urges aren't threats, and they aren't opportunities. They are just thoughts. So how can you use this method in your daily life? Step 1. The moment you feel an urge coming, don't panic. Don't try to distract yourself. Just stop whatever you're doing. Step 2. Set a timer for 15 to 30 minutes. Your brain can handle anything for just 15 minutes. Step 3. Now here's the moment that changes everything. Sit down, close your eyes, and observe where you feel this urge in your body. Here's what's going to happen. The urge will get stronger at first. Your brain will scream for attention. It will tell you, just this one last time, you can stop fresh tomorrow. This is normal. These are just thoughts. Let them come. Let them go. You need to do this every single time an urge hits. Every single time. Because each time you do this, you are building a new neural pathway. You are teaching your brain a new response. Here's where most get trapped. They try this once or twice. It works. And then they let their guard down. They think they are cured. That's when Shaitan strikes hardest. You need to make this your default response to every urge for at least 90 days. Now let me show you how this connects to your Deen. When you're stuck in this addiction, Shaitan makes you think Allah hates you, that you're too dirty to pray, too shameful to make dua. But what if I told you this whole struggle is actually a sign that Allah wants you to come closer? Every time you relapse, what's the first thing you feel? Guilt, shame, the desperate need to ask for forgiveness. Your heart turns back to Allah, even if it's just for a moment. Allah is using these moments to call you back to Him. The question is, are you listening? Remember, Shaitan doesn't waste time with people who are far from Allah. He focuses on those who are trying to get closer. Your struggles are a sign that you're on the right path. They are a sign that Shaitan sees you as a threat. Let me tell you exactly what happens next. Most will watch this video, feel motivated for a few minutes, and then go back to their old habits. But you are different. You stayed until the end because deep down, you know this is your only moment to change everything. Here's what you learned today. Your brain has been hijacked. Stop battling your urges. Start observing them, 15 minutes at a time. That's all it takes to start rewiring your brain. The next time an urge hits, and we both know it, I want you to remember this video. Set that timer for 15 minutes, observe the urge, and watch what happens. Now, if you want my personal help breaking free from this addiction, I offer one-to-one coaching. The link is in the description below. Fill out the form, and let's end this together. Remember, Allah didn't bring you to this video by accident. This could be the moment everything changes. I'll see you in the next video.